Hi everyone, welcome back to Call to Mothering. Today I am talking about how to start the process of homeschooling. It's hard to believe that 10 years ago I was in the position of considering this educational choice for my son, and I had no idea where to begin. It was overwhelming to say the least because it was something that was so different from anything I was used to. And being faced with this choice, I just had so many things to consider and so many things to process and think through. And so it was a pretty overwhelming task at the beginning. But looking back now, more than a decade later, I can see how our homeschool journey really started with that first small step that I took, which actually felt like a huge leap of faith at the time. And it has brought so many blessings since then. But that first step was required for me to take. And today I would like to help you take that first step on your homeschool journey and just talk through some of the steps to getting started that I wish I had had. But before we get into that, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and also ring that notifications bell so you know anytime I upload a new video. So now the first step is research the laws in your state. Homeschooling is legal in all 50 states, but the laws are different from state to state. So it's important to know what yours are. There are some that require you to send a letter of intent to homeschool, either when you first take your child out of public school or every year at the beginning of the school year. There are some states that want you to keep a portfolio of your students' work, to keep a record of their grades and their, the projects that they have done. And there are some that also want you to go a little bit further than that, and they'd like to see your curriculum and your lesson plans for the whole year. We are really blessed to live in a state, the state of Oklahoma, that requires us to homeschool for 180 days, which is a typical school year. And that's the only requirement. So I know some states have much more requirements than that. And so it's important to know to keep up to date with those things and make sure that you're following, all of the requirements in the state that you live in. And yet there are others that require standardized testing, along with keeping records of all of your children's grades for the year. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and know those things ahead of time. Sometimes your district also demands that you do something that goes above and beyond the state law. And in that case, it's a good idea to have legal representation that will fight for your rights, such as the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. The second step is connect with your state homeschool organization. Your state homeschool organization is a wonderful tool, a wonderful place for you to get help and to be connected to other homeschoolers in your area for things like co-ops, play dates, and just getting together and sharing ideas. It's also useful for finding out information about upcoming conventions. Some offer a newsletter or a magazine with helpful educational tips and announcements of special events for homeschoolers throughout the year. So that's an added benefit. And they also work in the state legislature to protect your rights as a homeschooler, and to defend your freedom in educating your children at home. The third step is to pick your curriculum. And there are so many curriculums out there right now on the market, which is good because you have so many options, but it can also, again, be overwhelming with so many choices. So there are different types of curriculum, from hands-on to boxed, which is when a curriculum comes prepackaged, in a big box to your door with all of the lesson plans for you for all 36 weeks of the school year, all the books you'll need, the science experiments, all of the math manipulatives, all the workbooks, all of the books in general. And that is wonderful because you don't have to spend a lot of time planning. There are also choices like classical curriculums that focus on the classical method of homeschooling. And there's also literature heavy. And there's also the option of homeschooling online. The most important thing to keep in mind is, will this curriculum that I am looking at fit my needs, fit our family's needs? Will it help my children learn in the best way that they are wired to learn? And keep in mind that you can always switch curriculum also. If it's just not the right fit for you and your child is, struggling with it, you are not married to any one curriculum. So you can go ahead and switch things up. You can, just pivot and pick a different option if it's just not the right fit. You also don't need the most expensive curriculum. It can be super simple. It can be inexpensive. Your kid's success largely depends on just simply a heart for learning and you being their biggest encourager. The fourth step is plan out your daily schedule. Before the school year starts, sit down and figure out what your day will look like. Decide what order you would like to teach your subjects in, such as harder ones in the morning and easier ones in the afternoon. Also decide whether you want to accomplish school 5 days a week or 4, with a day maybe set aside for co-op or field trips or some extracurricular activities, or whether you'd like to use that 4th day as just perhaps, a day of rest, a day of catching up on things that, you felt rushed through during the week, or maybe some things that just weren't completed during the week. Also decide when you're planning your day, make sure that you are fitting in other important things besides school, like housework and other important things that need to get done. Remember, you don't have to organize your day according to the traditional school model of 8 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. It doesn't have to be that typical schedule, because homeschooling is about you. It's about, what works best for your family, your children, and you have a lot of flexibility when you homeschool. So don't feel like you have to fit into that traditional school model or box. Also, don't feel like, you have to sit down, the whole day, or have your kids sit down for a certain amount of hours for subjects, because again, you have all the flexibility when it comes to teaching your children, and you can break up your day into 15 or 20 minute increments if that would help them. Especially if they're younger and they can't sit still for a long period of time. What my son would do when he was younger, when we first started out, is he would just take laps around the kitchen table. He was free to get up and walk around, and he walked around a lot because he burned off energy and he just couldn't sit still. And so that I just feel like you don't have to, don't require that of your children. Understand that, they need to move. And a lot of times they learn better when they are moving. So just keep that in mind as well. And also, you can combine certain subjects together, like geography and history. They kind of go well together. You can even combine language arts and history. Your children can be learning about a particular historical event, and they can also write about it. They can write, a book report, or they can write, a few paragraphs about the event that they've learned about, or do a short biography of a historical figure. And also keep in mind that as much as a schedule is important to have because it provides a guide for each day, it shouldn't be a taskmaster either. You shouldn't feel like you have to check off every box every day and that you are tied to that schedule. Sometimes it's necessary to change things around or scrap your agenda entirely. So plan, but also be flexible. The fifth step is discover your why. One of the things I do initially at the beginning of each new school year is sit down and figure out why I am planning to homeschool that year. Sometimes it has to do with academics. I want to further my children's understanding in a particular area, or I want to help them further their critical thinking skills. Sometimes it has to do with growing their character, and others it has to do with just strengthening the relationships that I have with them. So I write out at the beginning of each year all, the why. Why am I homeschooling? And I try to write that with all of, the energy, the passion that I have at that moment, because when those hard days come throughout the year, and they will, I can take out that statement on those days, when we're slogging through it and it's frustrating and the kids are not cooperating and you just kind of lose your sense of purpose. If you have that statement at the beginning of the year, you can take it out and look at it, and then it will refresh your vision. It will give you a sense of renewed purpose for your year. And then once I have my why figured out, I move on to how I will accomplish it. And this can be a homeschool method or a homeschool style. For example, Charlotte Mason or classical, eclectic, unschooling, or Montessori. Or it can just be a specific list of things you will do to make your vision for your homeschool a reality. Now, the final step is to give yourself grace. And I would say that this is probably the most important, but the most often overlooked. When you're starting your homeschool journey, you have a lot of good intentions and a lot of energy, and you're probably looking forward to it. You might be a little apprehensive as well when you first start out, but you think that you have to do all of these things on your own. And while you are taking on the responsibility of homeschooling your child, educating them, which is a big task, you don't have to do it. You don't have to have the mindset that, it falls all on you. You need to give yourself grace. And it's important that we understand that we have a lot of things going on. As moms, we have a lot of responsibilities to take care of. And homeschooling, putting that into the mix can be a lot. So just remember that you are going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It is no small task to educate, train, disciple, and also discipline your children. And anything new has its challenges. Just keep reminding yourself that you will figure things out as you go, and eventually you will find your rhythm. I promise you that your kids will be resilient as you are figuring things out. They won't hold things against you when you're working out those kinks. And they will be right there with you, learning and growing. And so it's a process of growth that you will do together. So let go of some of your expectations and don't be so hard on yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has been encouraging for you. And remember, you are not just a mom.